this just a knee-jerk reaction or a more sustainable trend? Tune in every week as we discuss the latest financial trends and how to become a better informed, wise investor. Listen to us at The Wise Investor Show at RaymondJames.com/The Wise Investor Group. Or just find us on your favorite podcast app. Raymond James Financial Services Incorporated, member FINRA, SIPC.
This is Joe Cordell of Cordell & Cordell. Serving in the military requires great sacrifices, not just for one's country, but also for one's family. Not surprisingly, divorce for soldiers is especially difficult, and it raises a number of challenges that are peculiar to military. Such challenges, go to CordellCordell.com.
This Saturday, July 12th, stop by the Good Feet store in Fairfax or Leesburg. 100% of the day's sales will benefit Jill's House, a local nonprofit supporting families of children with profound intellectual disabilities. Don't miss the free food, free fittings, and giveaways. At 8:05, here's the latest from Jamie Whitten in the Hadid Carpet Cleaning Traffic Center.
Volume delays each direction of the Beltway through Silver Spring. The crash interloop between George Avenue and Colesville Road. They're trying to get that to the right shoulder. Interstate 95, north of Route 100, overturned tractor trailer ended up in the median, but we have two left lanes blocked in each direction. And boy, what a sight to see. And as traffic is just narrowed down here to get past the crash, we are at a crawl. Northbound 95 near Route 32 and southbound from the Baltimore Beltway. Route 1 and the Baltimore-Washington Parkway starting to get some of the bailout traffic, which is no surprise. Now from GarageDoorRepair.com, the WMAL Stormwatch 7 forecast.
Mild or muggy out there this Friday morning, tracking a few areas of some patchy fog. Otherwise, we'll have partly cloudy skies today with afternoon highs near 90. Heat index values peak around 98. We could see a pop-up shower or thunderstorm this afternoon. And tomorrow, kind of a rinse and repeat of today. More widely scattered showers and storms Sunday with highs near 90. I'm 7 News meteorologist Eileen Whalen.
Up to 78 degrees at Reagan National in Washington, D.C. I'm Scotland on News Talk 105.9 WMAL.
Now on 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app. O'Connor and Company.
Still lots to get to here on this Friday morning in your nation's capital, July 11th. It's 7-Eleven Day at 8:06. 7-Eleven Day can mean only one thing to anyone with a pulse, and that means a free freaking Slurpee.
Amen. Happy Friday and happy 7-Eleven Slurpee Day, I guess.
Right, sure, why not? It's also the weekend where yet another remake of the Superman story is opening. Hollywood, of course, they're addicted to a couple of things. They're addicted to superhero movies. They're addicted to remaking movies that have been made for the last several decades. What they don't seem addicted to is actually creating masculine male characters and stars to be able to embody those superhero movies. In fact, Mark Hemingway, who wrote about this at the Federalist this week, Hollywood's inability to create masculine stars is officially a problem. You point out opening your post here, Mark, your essay, something that I sort of recognized internally as I was going to the movies this year, but I didn't really it didn't resonate with me. The fact that the two biggest sort of action movies this year so far star Tom Cruise and Brad Pitt, both great movies, by the way, and they're both pushing 60.
Yeah, they're not pushing 60, they're both over 60. And they're not exceptions. I mean, like all of the big male talent in Hollywood, Matthew McConaughey, George Clooney, Ben Affleck, Matt Damon, on and on. Just go down the list. They're all over 50.
What's up, chat? What's going on?
They're young boomers or old
What's up,
Gen
Paul?
Xers. And that's weird. What happened in Hollywood?
It is really weird. If you've gone back 25 years, and told
W's
people
in the
this
chat.
case, I think people would be shocked. I mean, Tom Cruise
Get your Slurpee today.
was a bona fide star at the time he was 24. I mean, that's when Top Gun
How you
came out.
pronounce that?
It's also the year he started The Color of Money. Martin Scorsese filmed with Paul Newman, cemented his reputation as an actor. So, it used to be we had this star-making machinery. And, people are actually talking openly about this. Pretty interesting.
We're going to take the brush.
Part of the problem is that Hollywood
I'm about to say, I'm working in the 7-Eleven.
Be real quick. This is 1 minute.
They understand what appeals to men about male actors, if that makes sense. What in men appeals to women is different than what appeals to men. Like, when Barry and I were growing up, you had guys like Lee Marvin, Charles Bronson, Robert Mitchum, guys that weren't even necessarily classically handsome. Dudes that. And now, and one thing about this is I found sort of fascinating, coming to I actually found some article fellowship, but it's good. About 10 years ago, New York Magazine did an article on the stars of a superhero movie on our board. Henry Cavill was English, Christian Bale played Batman was Welsh, Liam is Australian. You just go on down the line, and with the exception of Chris Evans, he plays Captain America, so they intentionally limited the casting of Americans. There's just a huge number of foreigners, and they actually had quoting casting directors in New York Magazine, which is not a conservative magazine, saying we're not seeing a lot of masculine men from America. They just don't exist. Or the alternate theory is that American education and everything is such that in England it's much more natural to be a rugby player who also acts. Whereas the masculine men in America get shunted off into some different track where they don't go back.
So, Mark, to pick up on that thread, Captain America, the recent one, Brave New World, starred Anthony Mackie as Captain America, who also has this anti-American strain to him in his personal views. He's black, for those who didn't see the movie, but, he got a lot of backlash, because of how he views America as, racist or whatever he's been, led to believe. Is that also part of it, where a lot of millennials and I guess Gen Zers, actors out there, they also have this hatred for America. They believe that masculinity is toxic, and so they, you're also seeing kind of that other strain playing in as well. They just are not interested in positive male roles being a part of it. And maybe even part two of that question is, are there enough good positive roles for men where they're not just doofuses like, Family Guy's dad or Homer Simpson? It just seems like they make any strong male character a doofus.
Yeah, those are really good questions, and I wish I had good answers to them, but you're right. I mean, Chris Evans had played Captain America before Anthony Mackie was a very outspoken person. I mean, I do think there is something to the fact that, Hollywood is dominated by liberals, obviously. For them, traditional masculinity in terms of, a guy that's going to, use violence to achieve good ends, for instance, is coded as toxic masculinity, it's coded right-wing, and they don't want any part of that anymore. And it doesn't matter that, those kinds of stories of heroism and, fighting the bad guys, really appeal to men in particular. And I think those men are being shut out of the box office. But yeah, you're right. I don't think that they're interested in those stories, and I do think that they're interested in male stars that are left wing essentially. And so their heart really isn't in.
I was going to say, I have hope for Adam Driver. Adam Driver, I think, does come across as sort of a masculine star in the new Hollywood, although he's often cast as the heavy, as the bad guy, not as the heroic figure.
Right. Well, Adam Driver is a really interesting case because he served in the Marine Corps. He's about the only male star that I can think of that has any actual military experience. Whereas, again, you go back a generation or two, and how many of the major Hollywood stars, were World War II?
Yeah, they were all veterans. Yeah.
They had, actual real experience with what being a masculine man actually meant in its sort of fullest sense, not just as action stars, but also what the repercussions of violence are, and those things like that, and that sort of weight in their portrayals I think really came across as actors.
So this latest Superman is sort of another example of this, and Hollywood will say, they seem to be setting, and you mentioned this in your article, they're stepping up this guy Timothée Chalamet. He's the star of Dune, who, by the way, looks so feminine. He really does. Right. And I've been hearing his name floated as the next James Bond. Is that really what we're going to do? Because it's going to flop. It's just going to flop.
absolutely no idea. I haven't heard about Chalamet for Bond, although he's been such a hot actor for so long that it's surprising people talking about him that way. I mean, the thing is I think Chalamet is actually a very good actor. His portrayal of Bob Dylan recently I thought was really good, and I'm a Bob Dylan fan. But, obviously, different actors have different personas that's suited for different roles. And a guy like Timothy Chalamet should not be carrying major action films. I think it really only speaks to the fact that there's this just dearth of talented masculine actors out there that they would talk about something like that for a role like James Bond.
Can I quickly just jump in here, because I know that some people say, oh, it's a Superman movie, and I've given up on Hollywood, and I don't care about this, and Hollywood hates me, so what's the point of the conversation? This is important, isn't it, Mark? I mean, this isn't just about good movies. This actually has to do with defining men's roles in our culture, and those movies and those characters that you mentioned, you and I grew up with, it had a lasting impact on our generation, and the next generations need those male figures beyond just their fathers and their grandfathers, but these cultures